this is a public meeting and we can make it available for people who didn't have the opportunity to make it this morning. So this is the second one of Shelly at the Deli. Unfortunately, I don't have any bagels or coffee to offer you. But I have done this for many years, usually go to different small businesses around the community. It's a chance to gather. We're gonna change times. We're gonna try something a little different. So in a couple of weeks, we'll try a different time, maybe lunchtime or in the evening, and see if that works well for people. Last time we had, we had over, I think, 30 people, but different people pop in and out as different interests and different issues arise. So I think we are going into kind of the second third of the session. Usually I divide the session into thirds. The first third is generally the time where people get their legislation together, get it introduced. Today is actually the deadline at 5 p.m. for the Senate to introduce bills. All my bills are in. I put my last bill in on Friday afternoon. The House's deadline was on Friday. Yeah, today's our deadline. Then the second third is usually kind of all the hearings of the bill, committees vote, and then the third is kind of babysitting your bills through the process. This session, really, everything is on its head. It's a really different kind of session. We hit the ground running. I had 14 bills that I pre-filed. I don't think I've ever pre-filed a bill before. That means that you could look it up, and on the first day of session, it had a bill number. Almost, with the exception of the bill that I introduced on Friday, I think all my bills are posted. If you go to the Maryland General Assembly website, and Mara, I think you can put that in the chat, please. Then you can look my name up, and then there's a little tab that says legislation, and you can see all the bills that I have introduced. I also want to introduce Mara Donegan. She's my chief of staff and amazing partner in this endeavor. Many of you may, when you call the office, you may get Mara. You may get, I have other wonderful staff people, Janet Ekman, who is constituent services director, and Molly Berger, who really helps us so much with our social media and graphics and helps to let the world know about our bills. And then I have two wonderful interns who, Lily and Rochelle, who go to Notre Dame. So everybody is working remotely. I am in my office by myself. I will go to Annapolis probably later today. And I sit and Zoom from my office. When we go to committee, when we have to vote in committee, we actually go to committee to vote, and we have plexiglass between our desks. Everybody is masked, and we have floor. We have had it 2 times a week. This week we're going to 3 times a week. So we're meeting on the floor, I think Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday of this week. We are going to be taking up some veto overrides this week. We did round 1, which were the less controversial, and those were the bills that passed with significant margins last year, both Republicans and Democrats. This week, we're taking up things like Kerwin, there's a digital tax, we did the pharmacy long guns, background checks on long guns and transfer of long guns, and a bunch of other significant legislation. So the House has not met in, with the exception of the first day. They haven't been meeting in person. That changes today. They will be down there today. So I think things will pick up. I had my first bill pass the Senate on Friday, which was exciting. It was a bill to create an Office of Inspector General in the Department of Health. There is one now, but it is kind of under the secretary. This would be an independent office. Somebody would be appointed for a 5-year term and have to be confirmed by the Senate. And it really kind of makes the office more accountable to the legislature, to the public, rather than the Secretary of Health. I think it is particularly timely given all of the things that have the responsibilities that have fallen under the Department of Health during this pandemic. So I'm excited about that. So it goes over to the House, and there's a House cross file it's on its way too. So we've been immersed in hearings, bunch of hearings. Last week was a big week. 3 really big bills have more coming up, but they are they're smaller bills, but we still got a bunch more weeks of hearings. In my committee, I'm on the Judicial Proceedings Committee. We're really digging into police reform this week. So today at 3 o'clock, there's a work group. The committee has really been has had the hearings on all of the bills, but now we're kind of work grouping them. That's bringing the stakeholders together in a Zoom meeting. So you have the police chiefs, you have the ACLU, you have other advocacy organizations, you have the police union, and other stakeholders together, and we really try and see what areas we can find consensus on. Today is consideration of how to treat and whether to repeal the Law Enforcement Officers' Bill of Rights. So that's big stuff that you may have, certainly read about in the paper. I would anticipate in the next week to 10 days, there'll be a package. I'm not sure if it'll be in one bill or multiple bills on police reform. That's kind of the focus. I am, there's some question in the chat. I know that people are extremely frustrated about the vaccine distribution, and lots of people are really frustrated about it. I know there's people are trying to get people who are in priority 1A. Those are frontline healthcare workers and older adults, people 75 and older. It's been really frustrating, and it's been a catch as catch can haphazard way of trying to track down who has vaccines. The most egregious problem right now, and I know there's no good solution to this, is there's not enough supply of vaccines. And why is this? It's, as I understand it, and I have asked this question, it's difficult to manufacture. First of all, going back to the Trump administration, I think when the original Pfizer and Moderna production was ramping up, we didn't buy enough, the United States. So that's a problem. My understanding is the Biden administration has told those companies that they want to buy more, and I think that's in the works, but the manufacturing is complicated and it is taking far longer. I actually suggested to some of our federal partners that maybe that would be good to have a hearing on that and bring in the company representatives to talk about why it's taking so long to ramp up and execute the manufacturing of the product. I know we now, thankfully, get a daily update about who is getting vaccines, where they're going, at least the ones that are distributed by the state. The state, unfortunately, does not have a very centralized way of distributing the vaccines. And you'll read in the paper, I think there's a front page article today that now talks about how different pharmacies are getting some vaccines directly from the federal government and are going to be making them available. So I think Safeway and Giant and CVS and Walgreens. Originally, the CVS and Walgreens had, and I think they still do, have a contract with the federal government to do nursing homes and assisted living facilities. That does not include independent living with, we have a lot of buildings on Oak Court and Park Heights Avenue and all around that have a lot of, concentrations of older adults. I think you're on your own, like the rest of us, in terms of trying to track down. So every week at 4 o'clock on Monday, the Senate president has put together a vaccine oversight work group, and they will be. It's a very interesting hearing. If you have time, I highly recommend it. It's very detailed information. And last week, he's an acting secretary of health, was asked, so should people just sign up everywhere they can sign up? And his response was, let me get back to you on that, which is not a very satisfactory response. When we had a town hall, I think last week, 10 days ago, with Dr. Greg Branch, who's our county health commissioner, along with Dr. Chen from the University of Maryland Medical Systems, who's a vaccine specialist. And Dr. Branch was, by all means, sign up wherever you can, put your name in. They're also now, as you may have heard, there's a big a mass vaccination site at the Baltimore Convention Center and over in Prince George's. The University of Maryland Medical System and I think Hopkins together are running that. You can go to umms.org/BCC vaccine to sign up there. You can also text MD Ready to, we can put this in at 898-211 to that's just to kind of to register. If I'd register as far and wide as you possibly can. And hopefully when we get more vaccines, people will be able to get vaccinated and people will hear back. I will tell you, I do know people are hearing back from the registry. They are able to make appointments. They are getting in there. The fairgrounds is a really, really highly efficient place. The county health department has done an excellent, excellent job. So I really want to compliment them. And the state is distributing vaccines to entities that are doing good jobs of getting them out the door. So this week, I know, I just saw last night, because the health department is now sending these daily updates. I think Baltimore County is getting around 4,000 this week, first doses. So hopefully the weather won't be a problem and we'll get, people in and out. I know hospitals, certain hospitals, LifeBridge, I know you can go to lifebridgehealth.org and there's a red banner at the top and you can try and sign up there also. And then the Maryland site is covidvax.maryland.gov. And that's another site that's supposed to aggregate them all. I don't know how much they're, keeping up with it. But yeah, it's vaccine. I know it's really frustrating. I think it's unfortunate that they've opened up lower level priority levels before getting the higher priority levels done. I think that's unfortunate, but that's the governor's call. So that's sort of an update and a high level, and I'm happy to answer questions that people might have. So just, yeah, Abe.
First of all, maybe it'd be helpful. I can give you some feedback as a person who's been affected about attempts to get the COVID vaccine. Robin and I were, by sheer happenstance, able to get an appointment at the COVID Vax site. That's the one we went to. I happened to be on my phone at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I noticed that a text was coming in. I immediately looked at the text. It was from COVID Vax, and immediately went to the site. It was the first day it opened, so I was literally there at the very, very beginning. The problem with that site is there were so many people trying to get in. Robin and I got lucky. We were able to get appointments. My appointments now, our appointments is Friday.
Where are you?
At Bowie.
At Bowie?
That was the closest site.
Okay.
For us.
So I don't want to, I just want to temper your expectations.
Uh-oh.
I have heard, I don't know, I have heard that Prince George's is really limiting. Is it, Bowie's not the Six Flags site, is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
Oh, so that's okay?
Well, I think so, because it's one of the mass sites, but I have heard of other people who have gotten appointments in Prince George's and they're saying, nope, we're only taking residents or people who work here.
Right. That happened to us when we signed up in Caroline County. We signed up literally the first day that site went active, the regular site for all of the, for wherever there are sites in Maryland. So we had signed up for that literally when it went online, and then realized that because we weren't residents, we might be closed out. We called the health department, we got through. They told us, we're not, if you're not from Caroline County, if we have something at the end of the day, we might be able to give it to you. Otherwise, forget about it. Plus, we don't think we're going to have any vaccine anyway for that date.
Right.
So we weren't able to go there. The problem with the COVID vac site was you could get through, it was so difficult. You constantly get error messages. So that if you weren't persistent, every time you get an error message, you'd have to go back and start all over.
Yeah.
If you weren't persistent, you didn't get in. We were persistent because both of us were on the computer at the same time. And after about, I'd say maybe a half hour or so, we were able to get our appointments. But for anybody, it may be different now, but at least when we started, it's not so easy to get your appointment. And if you're not persistent, you won't get your appointment. And we had signed up all the hospitals. I mean, there wasn't a site that we didn't sign up for. That was the first one that came through, and we're going out there Friday, and we'll see how well things go. But you know, it's not necessarily an easy process, and it's because you've got thousands, tens of thousands of people all trying to get vaccinated, and you know, there's not enough supply. There, at least until last week, there weren't enough sites, and it was just sort of a mess. So anyway, that's my comment on COVID. I mean, that's from the front. That's where we are.
Yeah, I can tell you, we're hearing from a lot of people about some very similar experiences. I know the site itself is extremely frustrating. I have heard from people about being tossed out, about error messages all over the place, having appointments in other jurisdictions, and then feeling like you're set, and then having them call or whatever, email and say, nope, you're not from here, we can't do it. I know it's really frustrating. I mean, look, I ask everybody to please be patient, because we just need to ramp up supply. I agree that we could be doing things a whole lot better than we are doing. And that's the purpose of this Senate work group that is trying to hold the department's feet to the fire on some of these issues. But yeah, I'm not sure. I had thought like everything would be funneled to this covidvaxmaryland.maryland.gov site, but it's not, because these hospitals and the grocery stores and the pharmacies now all have kind of their own entry points, which is chaotic. And it's not very friendly for people who are not particularly tech savvy. As you said, if you have a computer, you have a link to be able to, spend time on those, all those sites trying to sign up. You can go to call 311. You can also go directly to the health department if you know of people who don't have a computer or who need special assistance. At some point, they also will be going to people's homes who are homebound or have a real difficulty getting to a site, but they're not there yet. They just don't have enough supply to be able to do that. So I hear you. I hope, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you this week that you and Robin get the vaccine. Yeah, it's a struggle. It really is. But I think, there have been a couple of studies and a couple of articles on the states that are doing best, and the states that are doing best in getting their people vaccinated have more centralized systems. West Virginia, New Mexico are a couple of them. So, Linda.
I have actually two-part question. First of all, I did send your office an email expressing some of my reactions to your town hall and some of the answers. How long should I expect before I get a response to that? And yeah, go
We'll
ahead.
have to go back and look. I don't know. Usually we're pretty quick in turning things around. Did you have specific questions that you wanted answered about the about the
As
information?
I remember, yes.
Okay.
And it was about the COVID. But the other question I have, and I should have presented it at the town hall, one of the questions that you're asked in filling out every form is, do you live in a congregant setting? And nowhere is that term
Divine.
defined. So I know I said no, even though I live in a high rise condo building.
You answered correctly.
That's, I know, but I know plenty of people who answered quote unquote incorrectly. And because of their incorrect answer, got their vaccine appointment. So,
Well, they
you
may
know,
or may not have. Honestly, they may or may, it may be more random than that.
well, it may be, but it's just, and I think Abram has, definitely said what I'm feeling also,
Yeah.
because I have so many comorbidities, and also a brand new grandchild, my number one. And I am so stressed out by this.
Yeah.
And I have oncologists at almost every single hospital, and I'm on almost every single list. And I'm getting nothing. And even having gotten the email that says, you're on our list, yesterday I got this, Sinai is inviting you. And I thought, oh my God, I'm finally going to get my vaccine. No, they're asking for money. And I wanted to write back. Thank God they weren't there on a Sunday, because I was ready to write back, I'll give you money if you give me a vaccine, because I contribute to them every year. I contribute to so many places, and that's not making a difference. And all these people I know, younger, healthier than I, have gotten both of theirs, and they have no connection to medical processes or anything like that. So when all is said and done, it's frustrating. So anyway, I just thought I'd express that. But I did find some of the answers that you got from the director of public health, maybe because you paraphrased some of my questions, that he basically said, oh, that didn't happen. At least that's the way I heard him. And it absolutely did. And the thing that bothers me more than anything, I do have an email from Baltimore County. So when I go into the list of, on the Maryland state sites about making an appointment, you click on that and it asks you to register. And you can't get to a site without that registration. But when I called their line, they say to me, don't register more than once, it'll drop you down in the queue. And he said, oh, that doesn't happen. Well, it must have, because so many people who registered online after me have gotten there. So I went in and re-registered to try to see if I could get something. Now I'm not, because I'm on every hospital. I'm on the Baltimore City Field Convention Center Field Hospital site, everywhere. So I don't know.
I have not, we'll double check this. I know that they have asked that people do not re-register. I don't know that it's true. I've heard this now from a number of people, and we can call and verify this. I don't know whether people are knocked down on the list. I don't know how exactly they are. They're supposed to be following the priority list that the governor issued, right? And you've seen that triangle with the 1A, 1B, 1C, and we're at 1C now. So I did read this morning that some of the pharmacies are not quite following that distribution process, or, prioritization process. In the beginning, the health department and the county did not even send back an email saying, yes, we've gotten your registration. At least now they're doing it. I know a lot of people were feeling like they were putting this form out and it was kind of disappearing in a black hole. Right. At least now they have the tech to be able to, send you an email saying, yep, we got it. Wait and hear from us. I know that there are people who signed up the first day who still have not heard, and they are 85 and older. I know. So you are not alone. It doesn't make it better. I just need to tell you, you're not alone. We're hearing every day, multiple times a day, of people who have signed all the registration forms and just haven't heard yet. And I just can't tell you why that is, other than they don't have enough. I do know, and I have heard this, that there are, that at the end of the day, I don't know what time they close, but if they have extra doses at the end of the day, they're doing anything they can to get them into people's arms so that they are not wasted. I was told directly by the county executive, they are not wasting anything. And just put here in the chat, there are over 30,000 people on the waiting list who are 75 and older. So there are, and especially in Baltimore County, where we have a higher percentage of people who are older adults, there are a lot of people to get through in those top, priority levels. So, and there are a lot of people who have a lot of health issues who are in the same situation. So hang in there. I know it's really frustrating, and it feels like, you're playing the lottery. But I just say, as you hear things, just keep signing up and keep trying, and it'll happen. It'll happen. So I'm sorry. It's very frustrating. Yeah. And we'll try and email and okay. Does anybody else have a question? Miss Winston, did you have a question? I thought I saw your hand up. Oh, she's walking now. Somebody, right, I think Rhonda said something to Mara. There are scams that are directed at people, saying, either calling or saying, through emails, that they have vaccines and you should come, or let somebody in your home. Do not do that. I have not heard of anybody going out, except some of the rural counties, going out to people's homes yet to do any vaccines directly. And I would, be wary from any, kind of non-big name that you have. You've heard the big names of who's getting the vaccines and who has them. Do not let anybody else in your house, certainly, or even share personal information. So yeah, I know Ed just wrote, you signed up the first day too and haven't heard. Well, yeah, you're not 75 yet. So that's going to be in the second category of people. But somebody called me the other day and said that they had somebody who's 100 years old, and they were really trying to find a vaccine for that person. I've heard a lot of older people who just don't have access. So yeah, please try and be patient. It's, until we get this ramped up, or until there are other vaccines. I know Johnson & Johnson, which only requires one, is, I think, on the cusp of getting approved. So that will help. The Novavax one and AstraZeneca, those are others that are in the works. So yeah, I know it's hard, but try and hang in there. Any other questions or things that people want to talk about?
I don't mean to be rude. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
My system is not working well.
We can hear you and see you. That's okay.
You can hear, okay, fine. First of all, I'd like to give a good report in terms of my experiences with the vaccine. I signed up, I heard within about a week and a half, and I did have my first shot in Timonium. Everything went smoothly, but I want to change the subject for a moment. I'm an education advocate,
Uh-huh.
so I want to get your feelings about overriding the governor's veto of the blueprint.
Yep. Great question. So I expect that that's going to be on the agenda this week. I voted for it the first time around. I voted, and I will vote to override the veto. I think it's really, really important for the public education system in our state over the next decade. I think that it is also is tied directly to our school construction dollars, which are also so critically important in our county that is facing lots of infrastructure needs. We have buildings in my district that are in total disrepair that need funding to rebuild. We have students at Summit Park Elementary School, for one example, that are smushed into classrooms and into learning cottages and have to walk back and forth in this cold weather to go to the bathroom. So yes, I will be voting to override it. I think that I'm pretty sure the votes are there, and we will be well on our way. I think that there will be other legislation this session that we'll have to look at how we're funding it. And it may make it a little bit longer, but it's been funded the first 3 years or so. We already have the funding mechanisms in place. So I am optimistic that the blueprint will be passed this week.
Thank you so much. I'm trying to do two things at one time. I'm having the ducts cleaned out in my house, so it's noisy. I'm moving from place to place trying to keep up.
All right, well, we can hear you just fine. I hope you can hear us.
I can faintly, and I can't seem to move. I'm having problems with manipulating. I don't know what's wrong with my system this morning, but I'm enjoying, I was determined to be on the call.
Thank you, appreciate it. That we can hear you just fine and we can see you just fine. So you're great on our end. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Okay.
And thank you for your support.
Sure, thank you. Are you a teacher?
Former
Okay.
teacher, principal, administrator, and an advocate still continuing for education about children.
Great, great. Were you involved in Strong Schools, the advocacy group Strong Schools?
Working with another group in connection with that, and I am a team leader for my group.
Great. And where were you a teacher and a principal?
Well, in Baltimore City, and then I was out at Goucher College after I retired. I retired from there 2 years ago.
Great, wonderful. Well, thank you for joining this morning. Appreciate it. So there is a message in the chat. Somebody who's a massage therapist and included in the 1A. Yeah, look, there are lots of groups, like I know social workers too. There are different licensed healthcare professionals who are eligible under the 1A group, and they're just not enough available. Frontline health workers in hospitals are, I haven't heard too much lately about them having challenges getting vaccines because the hospitals originally got dosage a certain number that they could allocate among their employees. But beyond that, yeah, you're gonna face the same kind of challenges that people who are 75 and older. They're just the demand far outweighs the supply right now. So hang in there, continue to put your name in everywhere you can. And, when that supply increases, hopefully you will be able to get that. Even in the 1A group, there's still not enough. So I don't know what to tell you other than try and be patient. And it's really frustrating. I get it. I get it. Other questions? Anybody else have any question about what's happening or what's happening in the community? We have had some good changes, positive changes, I say, on the roads. There was construction on the intersection between Park Heights and Stevenson and Old Court. There was laying of pipes there, and that is actually improved. That is, yes, finally. The bridge in Padonia, that there was some construction dispute, and that work stopped, and that is now working again. They've worked out whatever problems they had, and they're back on the job starting last week. Somebody asked, what happened with Dana's bill to make the state carbon neutral by 2035? And then Senator West has a bill to negotiate the end to Maryland's coal plant. So both of those bills are still going through the process. I don't know exactly where they are in the process yet, but they have not come to the floor yet. But I know those are two big environmental priority bills. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but yeah, we have not seen them on the floor, and I am not on any of the committees that will hear them yet. But Dana's cross-file is the chair of the committee, so that's always a very good thing. He has control over the schedule, and as the chair of the committee, he can help to form what the bill looks like. So I'm cautiously optimistic on both of those. Actually, I have a bill, and we have a bill hearing coming up this week about organic food waste that I'm excited about, that is along environmental lines. And what it says is that big places that have a lot of food waste, meaning over 2 tons a week, will have to look at how they handle that organic waste. And if they are within 30 miles of a organic waste like recycling site, they have to divert the waste there. It's really meant to try to create more of an infrastructure for organic waste recycling, which is right now it's going to landfills that is having a detrimental impact on climate change. So if we can divert it to a place that can use it for energy, it's a good thing for our environment. And so I'm cautiously optimistic. We have some folks who, and if you don't live within 30 miles, then you can divert it either to food rescue, or you can do some things on site to help. There are waivers that you can get from the Maryland Department of Environment. So it shouldn't have too big of an impact business-wise. So I'm excited about that bill. There'll be a hearing later this week on it. So those, and I know Senator West, we were hearing about whether there's one last coal plant in Maryland, and I think that is on the verge of shutting if it hasn't shut already. Yeah, I hopefully we'll see those bills on the floor in a couple of weeks. So thanks, Ed, for that question. Anything else?
What's the bill number of the bill you were just talking about for composting state?
Good question. I can't remember off the top of my head. Mara, do you have it? Okay, we'll get it right. One second. We'll put it in the chat. Yeah, that's going to be heard in the Environment and Health Education Committee later this week. There already was a hearing on the House side. Okay, we'll get you that. Oh, Senate Bill 483. Okay, great. Thanks. Yeah, so one of the good things about having access via Zoom is that now you don't have to be in Annapolis to participate in the hearings. Really, you can sign up online. You have to register with the Maryland General Assembly, but then you can submit testimony. You can submit written testimony as much as you like. You can sign up to testify. It's much more limited on the Senate side, but there are public slots that are picked from the chairman. And some of our bills, people, the same public person is being selected each time, which tells me that there's not a whole lot of people who have requested to testify since they're getting picked. So if you're interested, I highly recommend it. It's a great way to kind of see how the committees and see how the sausage is being made. Any other questions that people have? No? All right. Well, I encourage you to check out my website, shellyhedelman.com, and we have up-to-date information there as, pretty quickly on COVID related things and everything else. You can, right, Mara's saying you can also listen to the hearings right from your home. And we can help you do that. If you wanted to listen to today, for example, the 3 o'clock police reform work group or the 4 o'clock vaccine oversight group, we can help direct you so you can find that on the Maryland General Assembly website. What else in terms of other information we can give you? Yeah, you can listen to the hearings too. And as I said, submit testimony. So if you're not, is everybody on our email list? Is that how you heard about this? Okay. All right. So we are trying to put out the information about session and about other things we hear in the community on our on our email. If you, feel free to share that around, and also social media. So I have a Senator Shelly Hedelman Facebook page. I'm on Twitter at Shelly Hedelman. I'm now on Instagram. So yeah. Something weird just happened. Okay. All right. If there are not more questions, I think we'll sign off a little early. But I'm happy to stay and answer any questions or talk about any other issue that you might have. Anybody? All right. Well, please stay safe and healthy. I know that it is really frustrating and a little scary with these variants too. Just take good care.
When is that? When is your next town hall?
Next town hall, we don't have one scheduled.
No, I don't mean that. I mean Shelly at the deli.
Oh, we haven't set a date, but it'll probably be 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay,
Right.
thank you so much.
Are you on our email list?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Okay, so we'll definitely announce it.
Okay.
We may change the time. We may do it at noon or we may do it in the evening, just to change things up a little bit.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm gonna sign off.
All right, thank you.
I discovered my problem at the end.
Okay, good. All right. Okay. All right, thank you, everybody. Stay safe, healthy. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.